example, status, you assign year 1 to status. This is a process. Right? Now, let me move on fast to lesson 3. Because lesson 3, that's where the core fundamental concepts are being covered. Right? So lesson 3 is very important and critical because you will see that the things we cover in lesson 3 are being applied and used throughout the remaining lessons. Okay? Example, what is a variable? Right? How do you correctly name a variable? What is a value? Right? And what are data types? Okay, as recent as lesson 12, we have a question on what are data types and in the worksheet, and I do still see errors, and it seems like some of you might have forgotten what are data types. So now is a good time to recap when we talk about data types. What do we mean by that? Again, these are things we have seen since lesson 3, right? We have been looking at it. So far, sorry, we have been looking at it for the longest time. Okay, now let me continue. For variables, right, or data types first, there are types at the point of time in lesson 3. What we have seen will be things like integer, which is a whole number, can be a positive or negative number. A float means that numbers with decimal places, very simple. A string, anything that is enclosed within double quote or single quote. And a boolean will be either a true without double quote here, TRUE uppercase T, or a false. When it comes to lesson 8, we have looked into another data type, that's the list, right? We should later we'll see that. And in lesson 12, we also have seen dictionary. So these two are more complex data type where they can store more than one value. Right? Now, then when we create variables, that's when we name a variable. So this is something that if you have some prior programming knowledge that could confuse you, if you start fresh into programming topic with C105 or Python, there'll be something that could be beneficial, right? Meaning that for some programming language, they will insist when you create a variable, you must tell what is the data type first, right? And once you create forever, you can only store values from that same data type. For example, age itself, if you say that it's an integer, for some programming languages, forever you can only store integer. But for Python, it's very flexible. If you if you create a variable called age, right now you put value of 5 inside, and now age is an integer. Subsequently, you can change this to a string, and Python will still happily accept it, right? So in the way that there's some flexibility here, but later on it might cause again some restriction when it comes to printing the value of a variable. Now, but for this particular slides here, what's important will be when you create a variable, similarly, variable in lesson 10, right, parameters or arguments are very similar to variable. They will follow the same rules in terms of the convention, in terms of naming, right? They cannot start with a number, means a variable or a parameter in function. They cannot contain space, right? The only symbol allowed is actually underscore, right? And they cannot be keywords. What are keywords? Example, keywords here are things like print command. Input command is also considered as keyword, right? Now, in fact, LIST is also a keyword. Things like float, integer, because you use them to convert a data type, those are all known as keywords or reserved words, right? They should not, because you might not know what are the errors that they might cause in your program if you use all this as a variable name. Now, another important point, again, is a recommendation. You pick meaningful name. What I mean by meaningful name? If you want to store age, then you name the variable as AGE, right? Don't use things like, for example, A. because subsequently you might not remember what do you use, what does A represent, right? And then you need to spend more time to go and recap and trace through your code, right? Now, moving on, important thing for lesson 3 will be the inputs and outputs, right? Inputs wise, or we look at output first. Output is just simply using the print command, right? Where you print the things inside and you encode them with a double quote or single quote, because print itself requires a string. Now, when you get user input, right? Input, since you're getting user to enter something, so you need to assign what the user has entered into a variable. Okay. Now, not only that, important point to take note and recap. By default, if you use an input function on its own, the variable or the data type of the value that's returned, basically what I mean is that the things that the user has entered, they are stored as a string by default. So this is where it's a matter of programming habits for my classes or my own style, right? In order to minimize confusion, my personal advice, or again, this is my own style, you can follow whatever your class lecturer has suggested where you are really used to it, right? For my own class and my own programming style for Python, whenever I get the user to enter a value, the next line of code where I will ask myself is that what is the expected data type? In this case, if I expect a year of birth to be entered in an integer format, the next line of code immediately I will do the conversion right to integer. If I expect, for example, I ask how much do you have a dollar value, which then the data type should be a float. The next line of code I will immediately convert to a float. Again, by saying that this is where we are making assumption user will give us the value that we are expecting. Because in lesson 10, or where there are questions concerned, will tell you where you need to first check before you do the conversion. But by and large, right, so far in the earlier lessons, we always make an assumption. If we ask for example, an integer, user will give us an integer. Okay, so again, I was saying that what I mean, my own programming style, after input, the next thing I'll do is I'll ask myself, do I need to convert? Right, if I need to convert, I'll convert first. Moving on. Why I need to convert first? Because it's important to note that if I use things like the greater than, less than sign, etc., those are meant to be number comparison. If I forgot to convert, right, if I forget to convert, if I compare a string, the result will go haywire. And that's where being a beginner or novice programmer is very hard to troubleshoot. So this is an example, right, where I compare a string when I meant to compare as an integer, right, and the result will go haywire. Okay, now, next, in lesson 3, we have seen how do we use all the basic arithmetic. For example, the addition, right, subtraction, multiplication, division. Now, what are the things that people tend to forget would be double asterisk is power, right? Number forward slash is an integer division, right? Where when 3 divided by 2, the quotient will be 1, right? Or 7 divided by 2, the quotient will be 2. Sorry, quotient will be 3. Now, we'll see an example later on to help us recap what is integer division and modulus. Modulus basically is the sign that we use, operator that we use to give us the remainder when we divide two numbers. Right, now this is a use case in example 10 when we use the modulus sign and integer divide. Now, your lecturers, and we have covered in class as well in 6P, what is a common use case for this modulus sign and integer divide will be for question, for example, when we encounter, say, a bus can hold 50 students, and if I have 256 students, how many buses do I need? Right, so it's meant for this kind of questions where we need to use the modulus sign as well as the integer divide sign together. Now, then when are the situation when you use the modulus sign? The typical use cases will be things that when we find whether a number is it divisible by another number. Right. So for example, is 7 divisible by 2? The answer is no. How do we know that? Because when 7 divided by 2, the remainder is 1. Right. So only when the remainder is 0, then the one number is divisible by another number. Right. So that is the use case for modular sign. Right. So two ways of doing. So these are two ways that we have seen. Example 10. Now next, in lesson 3, we have seen this precedence operator here. Precedence here basically is nothing but which one comes first. Right. I need to move on a bit fast because of the time constraint. Right. So these are more things that you can read out on your own because these are not new things. The rules are very similar to the math rules. Okay, how to solve confusion? Use parentheses or round bracket if you're not very sure which one should come first. All right, you're not expected to remember, oh, power, sine, exponential will come first. All those things, I myself also cannot remember. Right, so if things I cannot remember, then I'll try to find ways to overcome them. If I want certain things to be operated first or processed first, I'll use round bracket, right, to tell the program that, oh, please do the processing first. Again, what I mean is similar to math. Right, now let me move on. Now, round function, another thing that we have seen quite frequently, which we might use for other, okay, for other questions where we need to do rounding up. Right, so round, this is where round actually returns the result. What is the number, the original number, how many decimal places that we round to. All right, now let me move on. Okay, now string, the plus sign, that's where you got to take note. Plus sign can be addition when the left and the right are numbers. They also can mean string concatenation or joining two strings. Means the left side is a string, right side is a string. Then they'll be known as a string concatenation. Okay, that's where Python, okay, way of processing codes will come into picture, the way that they process the data type, because they don't expect us to tell them what is the data type beforehand. You can assign any data type to a variable, but when it comes to printing, you need to be very explicit. Right, left side now in this case is a string, right side is a number. So when you use this plus sign together, Python will be confused. They will throw an error because they do not know whether you mean a string concatenation or number addition. Right, that's where the conversion is important. Okay, let me move on. Decision making, if else, if and else. So this is what I've seen. Right, then that's where indentation comes into picture. Right, now moving on. These are examples where incorrect indentation can cause your codes to go haywire. For example, now we want to print the total price ticket only when, right, the number of tickets is more than 1. But if you indent far left, you print whenever there's error or whenever the ticket is more than 1, which is not what we want. So we need to move this one indentation, right? Because this is the block of codes for cases where we want to only execute when the ticket is more than or equals to 1. Now, there are operators that we use. Double equal sign is when a value is, okay, match the other value. So it's when we do comparison. Versus single equal sign is assignment. So please take note about double equal sign versus single equal sign. Right, not equal. So the first two, we can use it when both A and B are strings or numbers. Those are fine. But to note, the less than, greater than sign, less than equal, greater than equal, typically and most commonly, we only use them when both sides are numbers. Numbers means integer or float, right, or interchangeably. Seldom do we compare strings using greater than sign, less than sign. At least not in C105, we have not seen that. Right, again, these are common mistakes I've seen. So I'm slowing down to highlight to everybody. Right, it can be as close as lesson 13. I seriously, this kind of mistakes that people make unknowingly. So again, Just take note when you are doing your final check of your answer, other than doing testing, you can also use some of these simple rules to help you to check. When you use less than, greater than, the left and the right must be numbers. Right, moving on. So testing, very important. Right, we'll see more in lesson 4. But from flowchart to code in lesson 3, that's where I will urge you or everybody when your revision study this in greater length, right? How each symbols in the flowchart is being mapped to a piece of code, right? Now, lesson 4, where we look at the logical operator, the AND and OR. Now, just take note, this is just a simple example where there's only one AND operator in one line. It's possible that we use multiple AND operator. For example, the person is a gender is a female, right? Age is more than 18 and stay in Woodlands. So there are two AND operators there. Right. So don't confuse between AND and OR operator. These are some common mistakes that you might make. So I'll leave it to you to again read up the details here. Now, lesson 4, important topic that you might miss will be the testing. Right, testing, what is important will be the test cases. How do we derive the test cases? Basically, that's where the whiteboard testing concept comes in or branch testing concept comes in. So for that particular example in lesson 4, there are 8 possible outcomes. So when we talk about branch testing and ensuring all test cases are covered, that's where your test cases here should cover all 8 possible outcomes. Right, so there'll be branch testing. All right, I'll move on. All right, lesson 5 on repetition. The most important slides is this part, the 3 parts of repetition: initialization, condition evaluation, and move towards termination, where you see these 3 parts of repetition repeated in lesson 9 for indeterminate while loops. Right now, here, trace table concept, where we trace through the flow chart, or we can trace through a program. Right, I will not go into details here because of time constraint. Right, but repetition, we will then apply the 3 parts of repetition, say for a while loop, right, which you can see it very, very clearly, where we have the initialization, condition evaluation, and the move towards termination, which is inside the loop. And my own personal advice for another suggestion, another rule to add, the move towards termination should be the last line of code inside the loop. Right, later I will repeat that when I go through the past year ESE question. Right, so here for you to read up on what is going on. Trace table. Okay, why we combine trace table and loops? Because that's where, without really doing the testing, if we can trace through the code, we can observe the errors we make. For example, here, the left side, what's missing? We don't have the move towards termination. So it will go into an infinite loop because we never increase I. I remain at 3 forever. All right. Now here, harder to catch, where we want to loop, say for example, X number of time, but because of the error we make, maybe in the initialization or the condition evaluation, we only did X minus 1 repetition, right? Or X plus 1, but we actually want X repetition. Okay, so again, my suggestion to everybody is this: you try to have your own so-called programming style. Either you fix the initialization part, or sorry, you fix the initialization part to a certain number, right? For example, 0. If you like to start with 0, you start with 0 forever. Not forever, for as a starting point when it comes to coding. Don't suddenly switch it to I as a start. All right. So these are some common mistakes that you can read on your own. A common use case in lesson 4, or lesson 5 we've seen is the algorithmic thinking of using loops to find total. Right. So here is a detailed example. Again, if you are still weak in the concept of finding total, even finding highest, finding lowest, I'll urge you to look at this flowchart explanation clearly and how these are being translated to a code. All right, moving on, for loop, it will be the range function that will be critical, where the start and end and steps we need to identify. Another important thing to take note that for the range function, you can either pass 3 numbers or 3 arguments to it, pass 1 argument or pass 2 arguments, right? Where there'll be some default value if you pass 1 or 2 arguments respectively. All right, so again, here are examples on how the for loop is working and how a while loop and for loop should work. Now, take note, for a while loop on the left, when you convert to a for loop on the right, the I equals to 1 in line 1 is gone because it's already embedded into here, the start. The I equals to I plus 1 in line 4 is gone, no longer appearing here because it's inside the step for the for loop. All right, so please remove redundant codes when you're using a for loop. Lesson 6 on function. Important thing is 2 parts to function. One will be you create, how to create. Now this part, probably I will use the real case when we look at the past year paper and go through in greater detail. But just remember for lesson 6, it's actually not a difficult lesson. When you create a function, the question will really tell you what are the things that you need. Right. Second portion, calling a function, things that you already been using or doing since lesson 1. Right, when you use forward, left, etc. Now, what are the terminologies that are important will be things like what is a void function? Void function means it doesn't return any value. All right, now move on. On for lesson 7, it's more of a recap. We put most of the things together now. So right, in lesson 6, we can also combine function and decision making, right, to do actual real problem solving. Right, lesson 7. Okay, this is a recap on how do we find total using loops. How do we build string using the plus sign? Now, of course, what is unique in Python and what we've seen in lesson 7 was this multiplication sign, where we can use this approach to print a string x number of times. All right, basically 5 times x. Here, where left side is a string, right side is a integer. Remember, it's an integer, means I'll print 5 times x. This is what will appear. This particular operator here it's not common for all programming language. This is probably something that is unique in Python. Right. Now, so we have seen a recap of this modular sign, where now this is a pictorial view on, I think this is primary school math, right, about what is quotient, what is remainder. So when you look at lesson 3, when you look at the modular sign as well as the integer divide, you cannot recall what does it mean. You can refer to the slides in lesson 7 that we've seen here. Right, so I will not go into further detail here. Finding all factors, this is a use case using the modular sign, which just now I mentioned, whether a number is divisible by another number. Right, if it is divisible, this is also known as a factor. Right, so here in lesson 7, we also seen now how do we call a user-defined function from another user-defined function. But let me stress, this is not a new thing, because function calling a function, we have seen it since lesson 6. Lesson 8 is on list fundamental. For lesson 8, I will quickly cover together with lesson 12 on dictionary. What will be important is that for list and dictionary, we can use them to store multiple value. Right? This will overcome the constraint that we need to create one variable for one value. Now, when you look at list and dictionary, I will urge you to look at, for both, do a comparison. How do we create an empty list? Right, for dictionary, you use the curly bracket. For list, we use the square bracket. How do we store data? This means that create a list with a with some default items value first. For dictionary, we call them key value pair, right? Then both are similar. We use the length function. We can find out the number of items inside a list or the number of key value pairs inside a dictionary. Next, that's where a bit more things to recap. For lists, there are two ways of adding items. One is append. The other one is the insert method. For dictionary, the things that we cover in C105 is quite straightforward. You just need to recall the syntax to add a new key value pair, as well as to update a value using a key. It's the same for dictionary. Right now, here is about printing. Here is another slides where we can, in Python, we can use the -1 as a shortcut. Right, but I will urge everybody to take note of this particular slides where we actually first count how many items inside the list first, then use this number -1 to get the last item, because this is a universal formula that you can apply for. In fact, I believe 99.9999% of the programming languages that has a similar concept of list or dictionary. Again, to find the last item, just check how many items are there, then use -1. All right. Shortcut in Python, we just use -1 directly. Right now, updating a value, this will be something that, again, I see people struggle, but it's nothing much. The new value that you want to update, followed by, right, on the left side, you assign it to the item using the index. Just be careful how to read this. Index 2 means this is a third item that we're updating. Right, 2 doesn't mean it's the second item, because index we start with 0. Right, now, next in lesson 8, we have seen iteration and list. Two important concepts here. How do we iterate using the index method? Common things to take note, index method, we will use the range plus the length. When we want to access the item, we use the square bracket. Now, the other method is via value, which is a method which I recommend that you use, right? Because it's actually more convenient, less code to write, so more time for your testing. We can just use a for loop. You use a variable name and you put the in operator into the list directly and you print out the value. Notice there's no range, there's no length function required. And when you print, you just print the variable that you use in the loop. Right, here, example, recap now, you use, means applying the use case for finding total with iterating via value method. All right, I'll leave it to you to study this part about finding highest. But in this case, because it's a list, right, we can assume the highest, or if you want to find lowest, the first item as the highest number. Right. Now, these are the recap on the different methods. Of course, removing, we use pop as well as remove. Now, some useful function, right, is the sum, sum. Together with a list, we'll find the total. So for questions where it doesn't insist us using a loop, I can use sum to find total. Of course, if a question say I must use a loop, then I have no choice but to use back the use case or algorithmic thinking, right? The algorithm for finding total, right? Similarly, if a question never say I must use a loop, I can use to find the maximum. I will use the max and min, right? So these are useful functions that you should have at your fingertip, right? To find the largest number, to find the lowest number. Now, there are some additional one. For example, you can use reverse and sort, which I'm not going into detail. Or you can use index, where you find the first occurrence, right, where the value is equal to A. Okay, now count how many items, how many times this item appear. So it's dot count is a method. That'll be for lesson 8. Lesson 9 is the indeterminate while loop. A quick recap. Lesson 9 indeterminate while loop, we use them when we have no idea when exactly the number of times the code need to run or repeat. Right, it all depends on the user response. Right, so for example, if you ask for age, and in this case, we cannot assume user will give us the correct age. So we need to keep on asking. The user might tell us, I don't want to tell you. So it's not a valid age. Right, or you say I'm negative 9999. It's not a valid age. So we need to keep on asking until a valid age is obtained. So in this case, again, you don't know how many times you need to ask a user. You cannot use a for loop, but you can only use a while loop. Right? Now, important thing, the 3 parts of repetition can be applied where now the initialization, condition evaluation, and move towards termination. How can it be applied? In this case, the getting user initial response will be the initialization, step 1. Right. Getting the user to respond again will be step 3. Now, having said that, I just like to highlight this is just one possible way to implement an indeterminate while loop. There's more than one way of doing that. Right, in C105, we covered this particular way because it follows the same structure as what we have seen in lesson 5. Okay, now, of course, condition evaluation is here, whether it meets the terminating condition. Right, so examples which you can read on your own, which I not cover now. Again, I'm mindful of the time. Right, but what I'd like to highlight for lesson 9 is this menu-driven application where we combine indeterminate while loop and as well as function to display a menu item. And for the different option, then we do different processing. All right, I'll move on. These small little slides here on arithmetic floating point issues for Python is just to take note that sometimes if the question never asks you to do any rounding and your answer is printing a long chain of decimal places, that's perfectly acceptable as long as the question never say round, you're not expected to do any rounding up. On the other hand, if the question asks you to do rounding, you better round, right? Otherwise, marks will be deducted. Now, for example, when you divide 1 divided by 4, right, you should expect a clean 0.25, but in Python, it may not appear that way, right? That is due to there are some inherent issues when computer handled floating point, right? Which again is just for awareness. You don't need to do any so-called processing to solve that kind of error, right? Lesson 10 on string validation. What's important will be this particular summary of all the functions that we've covered. Things like how do we check, right? Those will be the green methods that we've seen here. Is upper, is lower, is alpha, is digit. Right, starts with, ends with, etc. Okay, these two are highlighted. Actually, is nothing intentional. It's not intentional. How do we modify things like split, replace, lower, upper? Right, that's the conversion. So what's important is not all these individual methods on its own, which you need to know how to use them, of course. But what is more important is to combine them to do problem solving, right? Which you will see later on in the past year paper question. Right, split. Just a quick recap. If you don't split, you don't pass by any parameter, you split based on the space and it will return a list of strings. All right. So here for lesson 10, another important point to take note is about you can do string slicing, right? Or basically you can extract substrings. Extract means that take out, but cannot update substrings. That's where you need to know that how to read all these numbers here. The left side means starting from 0, that will be the first character. 2 will be T, but 2 is excluded, so it will return us only PY. But if you tend to make mistakes when you count the string, so please again refer to this particular slide here to study. Right now, some use case that you can see using slicing method, or you can use split method. Again, there's more than one way of doing a problem most of the time. Now here is a comparison. In both string and list, you can iterate Right, here if it's a string, you print out one letter at a time. If it's a list, you print out the item inside a list at a time. Right, so these are examples here. What is important to take note, right? String is immutable, means you cannot change in parts. Right, so this is not allowed. You cannot say I want to update the first character to become J using the index 0. Again, this is not allowed, but if it's a list, then that's how you update the item inside a list. Right, so these are again the comparison between list and string. Right, now lesson 11 is just more of a recap of open solving again, where what we focus on is about the membership operator, the in operator, as well as the not in operator. But more importantly, it's about reading of questions where functions and parameters come into, function and list come into together, where you pass a list as a parameter to a function. Right, so that's where again you need to read the questions carefully. You will not go wrong. Now, what I'd like to highlight potentially will be here. Right, again, you need to read the question. If they say that this is a function name and the parameter name is given to us, we make sure that we use the parameter name, call number in this case, for example. Right, if you use some other names, we call it num1, you might get marks deducted because you're not meeting the question requirement fully. Lesson 12 on dictionary. Right, here earlier I've already mentioned a very quick glance through, right, about how do we, this is actually a summary of how do we update, how do we add new key value pair, right, how do we delete, how do we print, how do we so-called display all items. What I would like to highlight will be this particular point where, let me see, we can extract all keys into a list using the dot keys method, as well as the dot value method to extract all the value inside. Now, another point to take note, the data type for a key inside a dictionary can only be a string, an integer, a float, or boolean, right? But the value part can be any other things, right, in terms of the data type. That is mentioned inside your worksheet, but not in the 6P here. Now, in lesson 12, we also have seen how do we iterate to a dictionary. Okay, so sorry, I'm distracted by draining sound if you can hear. So we can again similarly to a list, we can use the iteration, means like a for loop, right, to loop through a dictionary. In this case, if we loop through a dictionary by default, this variable here will in fact be representing the key. Right, so this is a use case about finding the total, right, using the for loop. Lesson 13, basically we focus on problem solving technique where we really look at spend dedicated time to look at the past year question. Right, with that, that is actually what we have covered in lesson 1 to 13 so far. Let me just quickly check palette if there's any burning question. Okay, no burning question. If you want to, you can take a short 3 minutes break. Right, I will still be ending the past year paper review at 11 a.m. so that we can break into small group. So we'll come back at 10:30. Right, so a 3 minutes bio break for everybody. Also, I'll still be around. If there's any question, you can unmute or type into the palette. Sorry, Mentimeter. Okay, I see that there are some questions about the where to download that. You can try asking Telegram first. The next another question, will the upcoming ESC be similar to this? You'll know it after next Monday, right? Or Monday. If you ask me, I also do not know. Because I cannot remember what is this coming ESC going to be like. Right. So again, now it's already 10:30. When I looking at this AY 2018 SEM 1 paper or in lesson 13, when we look at another year's paper, it doesn't mean that it's a hint that these are similar questions or anything. Right. It just happens that these are papers where we can cover in the given time allowable. Right. And it will cover most of the topics that we have. Okay. Now, yes, the slides if you want to download is an intranet, you need the VPN. Okay, since you're here, benefit for you everybody here is that I will help you by putting up the paper here. Percentage of ESC you might want to post in a Mentimeter so that we can everyone can see. But now, quick one, since there are some questions which is good, I will help cover that part first. Right. There are information that you've not realized is in our C105 module details, where here percentage of ESE and MSA, etc., and CA. There's no MSA, by the way. Right, it's actually mentioned CA and SA ratio. Yes, it's 30%. Right, so some of the questions you can ask Mentimeter in Mentimeter, or you can ask our chatbot. Right now, without again, I'm mindful of time, so let me just quickly start the looking through. Of course, I will leave time for you. Sorry, I leave it to you to read the question. Right, I'm mindful of the time. So for this particular question, the first one is there are some error inside the code. Right. What's important when you attempt the question, you need to read the question line by line to know what is it about. The part cannot jump. Right. But the important thing about examination technique is your ability to understand what the question wants versus the number of times you need to read to understand. Right. That part, I can only say that the more practice, the more exposure you have, the better you get. The PDF file I already put up in the meeting chat. Right. Okay, thanks for having the Word document. Oh, well, you can find the Word document. That's interesting. I can only find the PDF file. Okay, anyway, let's come back to the paper here. So again, I was saying that one of the things about examination is of time management. When I look at the whole paper, this is a 60 minutes, 60 marks paper, 60 marks paper, and the duration is, let me see, is it mentioned here? Okay, for that year it's 120 minutes. So I will not spend more than 2 minutes per mark, right? And I should aim to complete 1 mark in 1.5 minutes time. Meaning I'll only aim to spend 90 minutes per paper. The remaining 30 minutes, so that's where I'll do careful testing on my program, right? Or attempt questions where I was stuck and I'm not able to proceed. What is important, again, is you read the question. If you should not be reading question 1, then start doing question 1, question 2, doing question 2. I would suggest that when you obtain a paper, you should try to look at roughly how many questions are there. So in this case, there are 13 questions. Right, then I will quickly run through for question 1. What is the idea here? Okay, as again, question 1, what is it asking for? Run through, it's asking for me to correct some error code. Right, then need to rewrite. Then I'll just quickly go through every question. Oh, question 2, I got some things on fill in the blanks. Got some things on 1 mark to describe. I'm given a code and it's about a list. Right, I've spent probably 5 minutes or so to quickly run through all the questions inside. And to have an idea what the question where I've totally no idea after reading it for the first time. Right, and I need to read it multiple times. Oh, my sharing for the PDF just came in. Okay, now, anyway, so let me go through now for question 1. Question 1, right, there are things about Wow, there are errors in the code, etc. Now, this is what I'll do, seriously, guys. And everybody can take note. I'll try to copy and paste. Hey, I'm in luck. This thing is copyable, so-called. Then I'll just paste into my Visual Studio Code for question 1. Of course, there are some things I need to be mindful of, the indentation, and maybe the double quote. If it's the curly double quote, I need to be careful. Okay, question 1, the first one asks us to identify the error. So we can see that when I copy and paste, I can really see a multiple error here. I'll do question 1 and 2 together. So first thing, this one is one error because the gross salary, why these are notes later, then probably I will recap on what I've done. Okay, now next, you can see that all the Visual Studio really highlighted some errors for me. This one is missing, colon. So I put down there, missing, colon. Oh, this one also error, got underline. This one is extra dollar sign. So you can see that I already spotted some errors here already. Or 3, at least now it's solved, right? It's now working code. Then that's where then I need to recap what this whole program about and the things I recall. Now, if you remember just now I mentioned after input, straight away what I'll do, I'll convert it into the correct data type. So in this case, it should be float because salary or integer is fine, but if you want float also can. So it's number 4, missing conversion. Right. And let me just zoom in. Sorry, a bit bigger. I realize it's a bit small. Okay, now then that's where it doesn't mean 4 marks for error. I need to be very careful. This table given to us, does it make sense? Right, below 1,000 is 0%. Below 20,000 is 5%. That's where logical error comes in. This should not be less than or equal, should be strictly less than. Okay, now no need that. 5% is 0.05. So this one is another error. Okay, class and everybody take note. I know that you might ask, oh, you now first question already so hard. Okay, now that's where I will try my best to identify all the error. If I cannot, I will do whatever that is required first, or whatever I've spotted first, then I'll move on to the next question. Right, because these are small errors that you might not encounter, or rather you might not realize unless you are very, very careful person and you are, again, an important thing is your state of mind. Right, you must remain calm and look at what is wrong with the code and what are you expected.
Sure, I have a question.
Yeah.
For the first part, right, after the float gross salary, right, isn't there it should that be like if salary is less than $10,000 as well?
Correct, you're perfectly spot on. I'm coming to that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm not done yet. Yeah,
Sorry, I just
great job. It's fine. You continue to ask. No harm. Okay. So what Wen Hong is asking is that, hey, but what about this part below 10,000 is 0%, right? But here don't have. So perfectly spot on. There's another one that is where, right? It's below 10,000, strictly below. And the text should be. Oh, so this whole thing is missing. This is my number 7, right? There's still one more. Can everyone see the question carefully? This part. It says display the text. But what is the original code line doing?
They're not calling the variable.
Correct. Well done. You are not printing the variable. So in this case, this should not be print text, TAX. This should be printing the value of that variable.
The string.
Right. So this part is to
String.
bring it.
Plus
That's
string.
right. Yeah. So that's where all the 8 errors are found. Right. Okay. Of course, given the extra 30 minutes, right, is for you to do extra check, but within that 1.5 minute per mark, there's actually still time for you to do testing, right? But for right now, again, I'm mindful of the time. I will not complete the testing process for this particular question. For some of the questions, if there's time allowed, I'll do the testing process as well. Right, so that will be for question 1 and 2. So you can see if there are errors, means that question that where I'm being asked to spot the error. Notice what I've done, I just copy and paste the given code first. And then the first pass, using the Visual Studio Code, all the syntax error will be flagged out by Visual Studio Code. I don't need to use my eye power to go and spot the syntax error. So that's what is important here, right, about problem solving. Okay, let me move on next. Okay, but before I move on, typically if I remember, for this particular question, there are 8 errors expected. Most students will be able to spot the 6 of them, right? That's where again the A and B plus will come in, right? It's not just about problem solving, but how good you are. Will depends on, are you able to really test your program. Important thing, this is not say eye power or I'm very good in programming. If I miss out things like number 7, check for less than 10,000, or if I miss out this part about 0.5 is wrong, or the less than equal sign, that's where I need to do testing with all the different gross salary range. I'll be able to find whether I'm meeting the question requirement. All right, let me move on. Question 2, I'm really done also because I fixed all the error. Now, question 3. This is a question where actually I do not need to write the code, right? But here I just quickly type the code in order to run to show you later on, right? I'm saving time here. But this is a question on trace table. Very simple question here. We look at the codes given to us first. There's one list of number, 18, 25, 10, and 13. Right, there's one empty list, a B list. What I'm looking at is iteration, right, in the list, but let's get some involvement here. I ask you a question inside, you vote which one is the answer. Is this iteration iterating via value or iterate via index?
By index.
Okay. Put a light into the meeting chat. Can you see my meeting chat? Okay, so you can put a light as we speak. All right. So that is to keep you a bit, at least your finger is moving, so that you know. Okay. Now, so yes, when we look at the code, we must be able to really identify this is iterating via index method, right? Not via value method, because we use the range, we use the length, and then we use the square bracket I to iterate via index. Wow, why so angry about via value? Don't be that lah. Right, so this is via index. What we are looking at, this is we look through A list, right? 18, 25, 10, and 13. What do? We do a modulus 2 equal 1. So when we divide by 2, right, the remainder is 1. This will tell us that, oh, whenever is a odd number, right? In fact, this was mentioned or covered in lesson 3. Modulus equal 0 means that remainder is 0 is an even number. Remainder is 1 is an odd number. Then what we do? Then we add into B list. So basically, effectively, we're already answering for what is this whole program about? We are going through the item inside A list to find out which are the odd numbers and add the odd numbers into B list. All right, so question 4 is to find the odd numbers from A list to add to B list. That will be for question 4. Then what is about this particular so-called trace table? So here, we just check first item. Sorry, not first item. Index I. Index I, so its second item is 25. Going to divide by 2, going to give us a true. So I give us 1. So answer this will be true. Right, so yes, 25 is divisible by 2. Sorry, 25 when divided by 2 will give us a remainder 1. So this will be true. And what happened? You add 25 into B list. Right. Then you check, is 10 divided by 2 going to give us remainder 1? Answer is false. So B list will remain as 25 only. The last item here, 13. 13 divided by 2, will it give us remainder 1? Answer is yes. So 13 will be added to B list, and B list will contain 25 and 13. Right, so that's very, very simple question. All right, I'll move on. Now, good thing, class, everybody take note. When you see past year paper, a thing called division table, if you have been paying attention for just now when I go through lesson 1 to 13, the division table was never mentioned, because division table, okay, B list, what the answer? B list is what is the list or the final answer here. This part here, I'll highlight. Okay, B list will be 25 and 13. The order must be correct. This will be the expected answer here. Okay, now, so let me continue for question 5. Question 5 is a thing called division table, which is out of syllabus. Right, so again, if you look at past year paper, any question that talks about division table, you can ignore it because we're not covering it. Okay, but the next question is something you can try. Write a program to ask for age and height, and then based on this condition here, that's about reading. So let me show you again. Hope that I can put two things all side by side here. Now, I'll ask for age. Let me zoom in for you. So age, immediately I'll enter age. Height is in meter, so it will be float required. All right. So this will be the first two lines of code that you need to be mindful. Now, this is actually a question on nested decision making. So if age is less than 12, 12 and below, so less than 12 and equal, right? Now you can see that's what I'm doing first. And this is where I was saying I do part by part. Less than 12 is strictly, and sorry, more than 12. And age less than, strictly less than 65. So here, notice this is 12 and below, between 12 and 65, not inclusive. And I'll do the else part also first. All right, I'll code this first. Then height is inside this part. I can just do an else because it's either more or less, right? So less than 12. In fact, I don't need to check for less than 1.2 or more than 1.2 because it's $4. So this part, okay, if I want a bit more gassy, I'll do this. Right, this is actually redundant. I can just maybe print strictly less than, sorry, 12 or less. I'll just print 12 or 2. And you read the carefully, is there. It does state it's inclusive. This is grammar and 12, 1.2 or less. This is grammar. So it's not wrong. It's actually wrong to say it's not stated now. It's actually stated. It's in the question itself. Right. Then 12 and below. What I mean for 2 in question 6? Can explain a bit what is the 2 about? 2 is 2 the height or is 2 height or age? Okay, let me complete this part first. Okay, I'm mindful of time like here. So in fact, what I do is I'll just copy and paste this part over and over. So this is $6. The other one is $8. Right. So again, age, height, and 6. Okay, again, indentation, got to be careful. Why got two if? This is where I need to read the question here, ma. Then age 12 and below, height 1.2 or less, or more than 1.2 is all $4. Okay, this is interpretation of this table. This is where the more practice you have, you can get, you have, the better you can understand what's the question about. You must, again, to answer that, if there's no sample output given, I can do anything I like. Were there, now question doesn't give us sample output, it's not were there. There's no sample output, I no need to print what ticket price. Right, because no sample output, I'm flexible. I can just print the dollar sign. You'll not be penalized. Right, the question didn't give us sample output means there's no sample output. As simple as that, huh? Can. Question whether can I put else part? Because at this point of time, we are still assuming that the user will give us a value that we are expecting. We are not doing any error check. So if you want to put the else part, perfectly fine also. Oh, okay. I'm using the PDF file. PDF file don't have sample output here. All right. Any other question? Yeah, please feel free to continue to ask. Okay, why there are two if, all this is really your understanding of the question. If you fail to understand or you are not able to understand what is this, how to interpret this table, then you will not be able to do a problem solving. Yeah, can also, but again, if I'm not showing all the possible variation, I can actually combine. Okay, example, I can combine these two. But then I will do a lot of L if this way also can. I then need to be very, very careful. This part will be, and then I will have a lot of combination. You cannot don't have else. There's a else definitely. You can also, okay, again, class, just now the question was, can I end with a else instead of doing an else if? The answer is yes. Right, so this part I can also do this as well, but I got to be careful. This is an equal sign. Or you can use a or simply use else. That one is also can. Some of your question I may be taken out of context because we don't have time to look at your the details on what you have. So maybe some of the specific questions you can break during the breakout groups, you can show the lecturer what you have right in a smaller group discussion. But feel free to ask first. I will try to answer things that may affect everybody or majority. Right, for example, can we use the AND operator? Answer is yes, but then I will need to be very, very careful. I will have a lot of else if cases. So total hitting, there will be 6 possible outcome. Right, I just need to ensure I have all the 6 possible outcome need to be printed. This is again why 6 possible outcome. It's actually the interpretation of the table here. Solution? No. This is opportunity. I'm already sharing the solution. All right, the recording you can recap. Which table? This table just now I mentioned is out of the syllabus. So no need to bother. Right, because we never cover division table from lesson 1 to 13. All right? It's fine. Okay, just feel free to ask so that certain points you might miss and then your friends may miss as well. So again, let me repeat. If you see any past year paper that talks about division table, good news, can ignore first. Sorry, not can ignore first, can ignore totally. All right? We will not cover things that we have not mentioned in class at all before. Right? Okay, but there'll be questions that will be tougher, that will stretch you. but it still builds on the things that we have already covered in class. Okay, for example, next thing that we'll see that we have not covered for our syllabus is when you see any question that asks you to generate random numbers. Again, random numbers we have not covered in lesson 1 to 13, so it's out of syllabus. Right. But you may be given this random number here as a list. They say that, oh, these numbers are randomly generated. Again, you are not, if you will not be asked to generate random numbers because you have not done that. Yeah, but we have not covered that. Okay, so we have not covered that. It's not fair to ask everybody that. All right, if you know extra is good for you. Okay, but the question might be, given this random number, right? Already some random numbers given, then how do you do certain thing? All right, so again, you don't rest assured if you see, hey, I've not seen what is this about, okay? We'll not have question as such because it's out of syllabus. Okay, now, question 8, I will not be covering it. Can anyone still remember this is one of your exercise from the past year, from the past lesson?
Menu-driven application.
Thank you. Great job. All right, so this is where you can see some of the exercises you have done in the worksheet are from past year paper. Right, so in fact, not most of the time, a lot of times when you do the quizzes, the exercises, it's about problem solvings and the problems that you may encounter quite frequently and you might be asked in the exam. Right, so this is, you can see exercises are in fact some of them from past year paper as well. All right, so again, I will not be covering this because you can refer to the published 6P answer. Next, also same thing, lesson 9 and 10. You all recognize it's also from exercise you have done. Which lesson is that?
10.
That's right. Okay. Now the thing is this, I'll still spend a bit of time to talk about the commonly make mistakes because I still see this at least in my own class. Some of the no is still appearing in the subsequent lesson. Right now, let me add this part first. So I will not be going through the answer in details. Like I said, this is from lesson 10, but I'll highlight the no-nos, like I said, that I still see my class, the student in my class making. Now, of course, the easy one first. For the first question, like question 9, right, we are expected to write a function. So it's DEF, is picking out from the paper here. Cannot copy and paste, so it's valid car plate. Parameter given to us is called car plate. So I follow the question. Now, next, like I said, code part by part, this is what I've done in my class as well. I'll check for the question. What does it say? Does it expect us to return a value? Answer is it expect us to return a value. So I return, I call it a value first. This is how I always tell my class. Right, something first, a variable. What is this variable? This variable itself is a boolean. So for cases where I'm expected to return a boolean, I will default return to false first. Right. Worst case, the rest of the code I don't know. Right. This is still a working piece of code. Something is wrong. Let me check. Okay. Don't know what is this underline about. Let me just remove. Sorry. Let me hold on. Okay, what are the things that is no is that now here the order of check is very important. There are some things that I need to check first. So here, based on the question, it says first 3 character, right? First letter must be a Z followed by numbers here. Now, what is a no itself is that inside my code, I cannot immediately do this. For first 3 character, first 3 character, I cannot, and the last 4 itself is a number. So I should not be doing this last 4 character first. 4 is 3, 2. I can do this. Right. Now, why I should not, I should not lah, I cannot immediately try to extract the last 4 character is because I have not checked whether do I have 7 characters in the first place. Words, not only last 4, you straight away check to convert. You extract the last 4 character and you immediately do a conversion. Again, that's a no-no because I have not checked whether the last 4 character can I convert to a digit in the first place, right? So before you do all these substrings, you must first check the length first. Right, must check the length. Now, if there's a need, of course here there's no need to check for range, there's no need for convert, but key thing, then I will, once I've checked for a length, then I can extract the last 4 character. Right. So these are common mistakes which I'm highlighting. Like I said, the solution is in the 6P, which I'll not go into detail. I'm just highlighting the no-no. Again, when we do string extraction, okay, can someone help to answer Nicola's question about question 7 and 8, where which lesson is from? Right, so again, 7 and 8. No lah, 7 itself is not inside. 7 is out of syllabus. Okay, question 8, which lesson is from? Can just help me type in the meeting chat. Right, so again, lesson 9, sorry, exercise 9 and 10, I will not go into details because the answer is already in the 6P for lesson 10. Right, I'm just highlighting what is the no-no. Right, you cannot do substring unless you check for the length first. You cannot do integer conversion until you check for each digit first. Again, this is the common error. Please don't make. Refer to 6P for the answer. Right, and the order of the check, pay particular attention to it. Right. Okay, 10 is also in lesson 10, so I'll not go through. I'll go through now for lesson 11. Right, lesson 11, sorry, not lesson 11, for exercise 11. Exercise 11, quick one here. I'm supposed to get get users to enter 5, student name and score. When we attempt this particular question, okay, when we attempt this particular question, any question on dictionary, what is important is you need to identify the data type of the key and the value. So in this case, for this particular dictionary called test score, right, the key is a string. Value, at least based on what we see here, is an integer. Right. So again, it's very important to identify the data type expected for the key and value. All right, because key and value itself, the data type will affect your workings for other questions later on subsequently. Right, if you are not careful, then the whole thing can go haywire. The first question, very straightforward. We are supposed to ask for a, so let me write the code. Test score is a dictionary. We are expected to get the users to enter for 5 students, right? So here, straight away, I will type for I in range 5. Now, what is important is to look carefully in terms of the sample output here. There's a running number, student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4, student 5. Right, so your instruction that you're printing, so first thing is the name. Right, input, enter the name of student, I plus 1. All right, you must follow and not miss out whether the question asks you to print this running number, because these are small little things that you are actually being assessed, and these are marks that you should not lose, right, as far as possible. Okay, now next, we ask for age, or sorry, test score. So that's where I was saying, now by identifying the expected data type, then you will remember to convert this to an integer. Common mistakes again. The test score. What we want to add this into the dictionary. So the key is the name and the value is the score. All right. Finally, what we want to print the name and score, enter. So we just want to print. Here, no need extra thing. Let's convert to string because everything is in one single line here. Find the output. Okay, let me scroll this to the left so that I can see the full answer. Right, so in this case, for this particular question, it happens that I can do line by line because when I break the problem into multiple parts, it's really just happens to be coding from line 1 to the last line. Right, again, what I've done, I create empty dictionary first. I look at the question, I'm supposed to loop 5 times, so I created a loop. Under each iteration, what do I need? I need to get the name, I need to get the score, I need to add the key value pair into the dictionary. Finally, I need to print the test score 1 time. So this is outside the loop. Common mistakes, if you put an indentation, you get marks deducted here because you're only expected to print 1 time. So it has to be flash left. Okay, move on. Okay, this is the part where I want you all to read the question here and tell me whether the question state must use a loop or don't need to use a loop. Yes or no, just put in the meeting chat to vote. Again, my question is, must we use a loop? The question. Based on the question, look carefully. I'm saying the questions whether ask you must use or don't use, not your solution. Don't be so angry. After next week, you will have all your break. Okay, correct. The question never say must use a loop. So your solution is flexible. Right. Now, of course, the algorithm. Okay, this is where I pre-prepared the data here. Yeah. The algorithm is if I use a loop, I will initialize to find highest, I'll put in the lowest level, lowest value, right? That is covered in lesson 9, right? To find lowest. Then I will check this is key in test score. Okay, test scores. I forgot the underline here. Not test score. Then I will check. This is the part where I will check. This is the solution using a loop. Is it greater than highest? If yes, highest equals to test score. Then what do I need? This is to print the highest score is the again the value itself is a string. So it's an integer, so I need to do that. Okay, this is the typical answer expected, right? If the question say I must use a loop, right? In this case, a for loop. Don't need, like I say, the things are covered. We don't need to actually use extra things like what you've seen here on the meeting chat, dictionary.items. Don't need lah. Since the question never say I must use a loop, I can use the alternate solution. All right. Since the question never say alternate solution, and these are things that we have covered also, as in mentioned in fact, actually it's covered in lesson 12. Okay, remember there's a, no need to answer me, this is just a question just to ask yourself to answer at the back of your mind. There is actually a function to extract all the value into a list from a dictionary. Right, remember the sample and we have seen right, correct. Now remember there's also a function that we can find the highest from a list. Correct. See, look, isn't this, if you, okay, this is really towards the end of the paper now. What we are expecting is everyone to be able to use this. Now, if we really have done a very, very thorough revision, this is where you get yourself, you earn yourself bonus. Right, if you remember the small little things here, then you can see the code itself is so short, where it can be combined into one line even. Can be combined into one line even. No, one line for 5 marks. Okay, again, it's like this is a chance where some of the tough question, yep, right. If you, again, we are not expecting everybody to remember all this, right? The normal expectation is this. If you can recall there's such algorithm, it's really good enough. This is for question 12. Right, highest. Okay, not done yet. Let me continue with question 13 now. Question 13. We are supposed to find out the student, not only just one, the students, because there could be a tie. In this case, for example, Adam scored 59 marks and Carol also scored 59 marks. Right, so for question now, we need to find all the students, not only just one, not only the first instance. So in this case, some of you might be thinking of the thing called index method be used. The answer is no. All right, if you don't know what is this index method, so be it, because the answer is no. All right, now I'll show you the solution now. Since this is the last question, you can expect that there'll be certain challenges that you'll be so-called expected. Okay, so sorry, hold on. This higher score, not highest. I must follow the question requirement. It say I must use a variable called higher score. Right. So again, pardon me, I cannot have one line. One line may be wrong because I need to follow the question requirement. Okay, do a bit extra here. I need 2 lines because I'm supposed to use higher score. Why is that so? Because question 13 requires us to continue for higher score. First thing, we know we need a name list. Right, because there could be more than one student. Okay, more than one student. Now, then what happened? Since we already have find the highest score here, what we want in this case cannot run away. We must use a loop. Right? Okay, now better question is whether can we use 0 or why must why must it be minus 999? My advice is that now assuming the valid test score is 0 to 100, right? You can use a value that is less than 0, but not a 0. Right? Otherwise, in case that the highest number is 0, then the whole thing go here. Right? So just one value less than the lowest possible score will be good enough. Again, why must it be 999? No need. if a valid test score is between 0 to 100, to find the highest, we start with the lowest possible -1 to be safer, just to play safe only. If you want to start with 0, that can work as well. But my personal advice is I'll just start with one value lower. All right. Again, let me continue. Lesson 13, sorry, as question 13 here. Again, question 13 is a continuation from question 12, where you already have find the highest score. All right. Now, there's no way now we must use a loop to loop through the test score. If it's the highest score, then add to the list. And finally, we print. Right. It says students with higher score. Okay, now, at least for this question, I can do a quick test. Okay, here, why higher score is -1. Okay, so the first one, okay. There is a error here. Why is it -1? Let's take a look here, and then will help me do the troubleshooting together. Again, you notice there's a -1 here. So let me highlight, remove all the code. Okay, and let me just do some house screening first. That's where again, testing is important. So class, can you all see what was error here? Anyone spotted which line? These are common mistakes that might cause me to drop from an A to become a B plus or B. And again, a reminder, every marks count, not just A or B. How good is your A? The raw score will be used in your computation, in the computation of the final module grade.
You named the
Nope.
error wrong.
Yep, line 6 is wrong. All right, this should be higher score. Yep, okay. So let me put back my original answer. So this is where, because whenever you do a testing, right, I will suggest you add one more step. Sorry, is that if your computer again is responsive, means that will not lag. It's good to always do a restart first. Right. So earlier I was having a highest here, right? If I do a restart, when I run, it will flag out for me. Okay, now let me restart here output first. Something is still not correct. It will still not clear. I know it's slide 6. You hold on, everybody. Just let me close this file and then open out again. Okay, now. Earlier, oh sorry. It will not kill any error because here, this is where it's hard to catch. It will not crash. Okay, can you put highest as 59? Answer is no. If you are trying to find the lowest, then you put a higher score. Okay, this is imagine because you cannot see what's inside the list because there could be more things inside. Right, it's all depending on the user entry. So got to be very careful that it's not supposed to be invisible to you because it's all depending on the user entry in the first place. So you cannot see. Can you put the highest score as the test score? You can put any one of them first, right? But I will suggest, sorry, not can. If it's a list, then you can. If it's since this is a dictionary, remember dictionary itself, right? It's an unordered list. Okay, can highest be 0? Yes, just now I answered that. So, correct. This is not. This is supposed to be highest score. Just now the arrow was already spotted. Okay. So this can be 0 or can be -1. Or if you want to, you can. Sorry, there's no way of you cannot. Okay, so class should not put this way, because you do not know what's exactly inside test score in the first place. All right. Again, test score is something that is based on the user entry, so we cannot do that. All right. You can only do either use 0, -1, or any value less than 0. Okay, less than or equal or less than, those are perfectly fine, because to find highest or find lowest, sorry, 59 still cannot. Okay, again, let me put it right here. We can, the name and scores are dependent on user entries. Right, basically, we are not supposed to see what's inside here. It's all depending on the top here first. Where's my question? Right, if I put question 11, 12, and 13 together, this will be the full view. So in this case, we cannot exactly see, is it 59? We do not know. What happens if a user enter all marks less than 50, then how? Your 59 will fail. All right, so therefore, this one is again, no, cannot. Not allowed. Right, because we do not know what's inside test score. Test score is entered by the user. Okay, any other question? If not, okay, Miss Aisha can stop the recording. And if not, let's break into small groups. If you are staying back because you want to have small group consultation, can I ask you to raise your hand so that we know roughly how many people are well? Okay, just raise your hand so that we know a count, and we have other lecturers around. For C105 lecturers who are around here, can you help to do something? Can you put your name? No, so let me see. Okay, can you just help me type your name inside sorry, hold on. For C105 lecturers who are around here, can you all help to create a meeting invite and put your meeting invite into the chat? Let me see. Sorry, hold on. Let me see what is the best way of doing. Okay, again, for the students first, if you are staying back, can you show your hand, raise your hand, leave your hand there so that we know how many people? Okay, thanks, Miss Aisha. So Aisha has already put the names there. Okay, so students, the consultation is up to you. Because now it's a free session now. As in you have what your question you have, then you bring to the lecturers there. Okay. If not, thank you for your time for coming in. Right now, for the 13 or 14 of you who have raised your hand, now you can see what Miss Aisha has posted there, the names. So can you all directly go into MS Team and have a chat, do a direct DM, direct chat with the respective lecturer? Because I do not know who you might want to pair up with or your friends are. So directly discuss with your friends, right? And then look for the respective lecturer that is mentioned in Miss Aisha chat.
Can I just share
question.
one screen?
Yep.
Okay, just a short reminder for you guys. Let me take over the screen. Okay, so for your essay quest 2.0, can you guys make sure that your version is 2.4.0? Can you guys see? Okay, so make sure that you check when you open it, it's 2.4.0. If it's not, this is for the case when students that have not installed Quest at all. We still have a lot of cases such as this. I've emailed those students that have this issue. So please check your email. The link is there. You can also just take a picture of this link, a shorter version of it, and go and install using this. But if you have no issues, by right, when you it should auto update lah. That means when you switch on your device and go online for an hour, it should auto update to this 2.4.0. Okay, so just check that it's correct. Then if students that have already installed this one and then but failed to auto upgrade, right? You can go to the same link and then choose this essay quest 240 upgrade.zip in order to install. Don't choose the setup.zip. Again, those relevant students I've already emailed, so please check your email. Any other issues that you may have, please email helpit@rp.edu.sg quickly before our exam on Monday lah. Okay, so this is the list. Can you guys see? So just you can message any of us. Then maybe those that have a larger group of students going to them, maybe you guys can create a call, a Teams call for them to join. But otherwise, one-on-one lah. I think that is best, depending on based on the number of students that we have that have raised their hands, which is only 8. Okay. Yep, that's it for me.
Yeah, I have no other things as well. All right, so except you will see what I mentioned in the meeting chat. Consultation is open for your answer. Right,
once
so
I
you
have
can,
the recording, I will email to all students once I have the recording, once it's ready. Okay, so just message the lecturers that you want to counsel with. That's it.
thank you, everybody.
guys. Yeah.
Yep. If you want to ask me directly as well, you do the same thing, direct meeting chat, or you can wait until everyone leave. Right, I would suggest that you can get different views from different lecturers, so can feel free to consult another lecturer outside myself or your class lecturer.
So if any of the lecturers are busy with other students, you can try the other lecturers in the list, okay?